Hi everyone, welcome back to my channel, or welcome if you're new. My name is Veda and this is The Simple Budget. Here on my channel I show you how my family is using the zero-based budgeting method in order to maintain a simplified financial life. If that sounds like content that you're interested in, I would love it if you would hit the subscribe button and join our little crew here. And with that being said, let's get into today's video. Well, hello everyone and happy bonus content Wednesday to you. I hope that your week has been fabulous so far. We have just kind of been, plugging right along. I mean, it's the middle of the week, right? So all of the usual things. And if you missed my cash stuffing on Monday, I have a brunch coming up with some neighbor friends this weekend, so I'm really excited about that. I've gotten some shopping done and just refining the details and stuff. I did go ahead and leave my brunch menu on Monday's post in the description box if you were interested. It's sort of like an autumn themed brunch and it's super easy to, throw together. So if you were looking for a little bit of inspo and have some friends that you maybe want to host a little autumn brunch with, hopefully that menu is helpful to you. So anyways, let's just jump into the video. Today is the budget with me for my Etsy and YouTube pay for the month of September. And I always like to start off any videos where I am discussing income regarding Etsy and YouTube with a huge thank you to those of you in my audience here on YouTube. And if you support my Etsy shop by purchasing from me, I am so grateful to all of you here. I say it every month, and every month I mean it. I'm able to draw an income from my YouTube channel because my channel is monetized. And so every time you watch the ads, I get a percentage of ad revenue from that video, or from that percentage of ad revenue from the ad that you watch. And even if you're skipping the ads, you're sort of still drawing attention to my channel by watching my content. So I thank you for that as well. Goodness, I had to clear my throat there. Okay, anyways, so basically what I'm saying is if in any way you are contributing to the watches on my channel or the ad revenue that comes in, I thank you. And likewise, if you are purchasing from my Etsy shop, you are also obviously supporting me and my family and making all of this possible. So thank you guys so much for your continued support. It still amazes me that I'm able to do this and supplement our family income in this way. So I'm very grateful to you. So let's go ahead and jump in with the budget with me. I thought that I would go ahead because we do have some new folks around here and just kind of go into a little bit of an explanation for how we decide to arrive at the numbers and the budgeting decisions that we do arrive at, especially when it comes to this particular portion of income that comes into our house, because it's side income or extra income. And so the plan is a little bit different for it. We do still like to make sure that we're funneling money toward really high priority things, but we are also able to kind of throw a little bit of money at non-priority items in our household as well. So I'll jump right into my budget planner here. By the way, speaking of my Etsy shop, this new series of I Am an Autumn dashboards, which is a Gilmore Girls reference. I have 4 different styles for the I Am an Autumn dashboards. And of course, just like with everything in my Etsy shop, you can get it on vellum or cardstock, and then they are either laminated, matte, or glossy. It's completely up to you. And they come in both A5 and A6 sizes. I just love these. I'm a Christmas baby. I love the summer, but there's something about the fall that I just find so unbelievably cozy and delicious. So I don't know if I'm in autumn. I might be in autumn, but nonetheless, I enjoy this season very much. So anyways, and also speaking of my Etsy shop, I have been getting my Oops products listed as well. So if you are interested in getting my products, but at a discounted price, keep a lookout for that. I have been really good about making sure that I get at least one item. And by one item, I mean one style item. So multiple items listed daily. So, just keep a lookout on my shop if you've been interested in any of my products. Goodness, I lost all of my English there. Okay, so let's just jump into September. I'm going to go actually toward the back here of my budget planner. This is also available in my Etsy shop. I'm going to grab a paycheck plan sheet that I have. I include 5 in every single month, just for the event that there is a magic month and then you have it readily available. In this case, since we don't have we don't have 5 pay weeks in September for our main pay, I'm able to use the extra paycheck plan to go over my, or to kind of consolidate all of my Etsy income. And I'll kind of go over that with you guys as well once we zoom in. But yeah, so that's what I use these for. And obviously the advantage that I have is because I created it and I have all of the documents. If I do need an extra paycheck plan, I just print one out myself anyway. But that is also the advantage of buying the printable version of my budget planner, is that you can kind of print off whichever sheets that you need in whatever quantities at your own convenience. But anyways, I'm going to go ahead and grab this stuff out, and then I will, I'm going to zoom you guys in so that we can just kind of go over everything and you kind of can see how we go about budgeting my side income. Okay, so here we go. Excuse me, goodness, already in coughing fits. So in the interest of full disclosure, I will tell you the following. I am paid actually every single week by Etsy. And so every single week I go ahead and break down the budget and decide what I'm going to be allocating with that money for that week. And then at the end of the month, I just kind of sit down and add everything up and make sure that I'm accounting for any discrepancies in our budgeting, in our like normal budgeting, and accounting for any maybe like overspending or underspending, or whatever kind of comes up throughout the month. Like, you know how that goes. Life happens and your best laid plans and all of that. But we are usually able to stick to the amounts that we budgeted. The nice thing about getting paid every single week from Etsy, but not stuffing it until the end of the month, is that it also serves as sort of like an account buffer for us. So that money just sits in our checking account and hangs out there until we actually stuff the cash. Excuse me, I can tell it's going to be one of those days. Anyways, if you want to see my exact process for how I go about budgeting it from week to week, in my, my Budget With Me playlist, all the way back in April, I went over with you guys our exact process for how we were budgeting side income at that time. Now, at that time, my Etsy and YouTube income were completely supplementary because I had a job at that time. My husband and I have since decided that for the foreseeable future, if we can make it work, we're just going to keep me home, which is both our choices. This is not something like I really want and he doesn't want, but he's suffering through, or vice versa. I just want to get out ahead of that commentary just in case it could crop up. We are both happy to have me home. And so that's kind of what we're doing for the foreseeable, unless we just decide it's not really working anymore. And then, I'll go back to looking for part-time work, which I was happy to do because I could kind of choose jobs that I felt like were more fun or whatever, geared toward some of my personal interests. Anyways, but we do have some other plans for me earning income in the future. And obviously that's part of a budgeting channel. So we will be going over all of that with you guys as well. But in the meantime, this is just now our Etsy income is being treated as more of like a helper to our regular budget as opposed to completely supplementary. And I don't want to say superfluous because money is never superfluous when you have financial goals, but it was able to be utilized in a more fun money kind of way. And now my Etsy and YouTube income are utilized for fun things, but it also supplements our main budget as well. And it's a huge help for that. So again, thank you. So for the meantime, I'll show you kind of how we're doing that. But if you want to go back to see just the process itself and like some of the percentages and the decisions that we used to make and stuff like that back in April, all you have to do is go check out my budget with me's, and they are very obviously labeled like Etsy and YouTube. You're not going to sit there and, be watching like our main budget with me or anything. So anyways, let's just jump right into it. So for the month of September, in Etsy, through Etsy in total, I brought in $1,002.12. And then from YouTube, I brought in $135.70. And so the total for that for the month for side income is $1,137.82. And so that's what we're working with here. Now, as I mentioned to you before, I go ahead and I go through this budget on a weekly basis, and I figure out what I'm going to do with that money at that time. So you guys are just going to get a broad picture here of how each category is being funded for the entire month, which is why maybe the percentages will seem a little bit off, but we don't really utilize percentages a lot in the way that we budget this now. It's a lot of like meeting specific dollar amount goals and making sure that we, are achieving what we want to achieve. So I'll just get into it. Right off the bat though, taxes always gets 25%. Like I mentioned, because I'm budgeting this weekly and then I just sort of add it all up at the end of the month, the dollar amount won't be exactly, like it may be like a couple dollars off one way or the other, but the basic sentiment is there. It's 25%. That's what we set aside. That's what works for our particular income. So anyways, taxes for this month. So I'll just write a percentage in the due column if we calculate the amount using a percentage. So taxes for the month of September comes out to $282. So from this $1,100, and we do the zero-based budgeting method with side income as well. What that means is that we create a plan for every single cent that comes into this house, whether we're giving it an immediate purpose or a future purpose. It has a plan, because if you don't make your dollars work for you, they will escape. You will not know where they go. I promise you that. So again, my paycheck plan is sort of broken down for like a normal everyday budget. Bills and expenses, like taxes isn't really like a bill or an expense. And I'll put things like that over here that won't make complete sense to you if you're like watching this for the first time and you're like, wait, how is that a bill? How is that like a traditional expense? It's not really. This paycheck plan is really geared toward everyday budgeting, but it's also very versatile in that you can use it for stuff like this. You'll know what you're using it for. So what I do is I put the more high priority things over here, and then the things that are less of a priority over here. And then our savings is just like our emergency fund. So anyways, let's just jump right into it. Underneath of the bills and expenses section, I just put anything related to an expense that has to do with my business. So for example, I have a Canva Pro membership. This is the platform that I use to do all of my designing on. And so, excuse me, it makes the most sense for me to be able to just pay for the Pro membership. It's a $120 annual membership fee, and it's absolutely worth it for me. I have access to like their entire library of goodies, and so it makes sense when you're using, or when you have an Etsy shop like I have that has the content and materials that I have, to have a Canva Pro account. And so excuse me, goodness gracious, it costs me $10 a month for that. And so I just always make sure to pull this out of my first Etsy paycheck from every single month. And I just make sure that it's budgeted and accounted for. And so it's not a percentage, it's just a dollar amount. Next up is my P.O. box. And this just funds, my P.O. box account. Again, this is not a percentage. It's a dollar amount that I have to hit every single month in order to maintain my P.O. box, and it's $18. That was a terrible 8. Goodness. It also would help if my pen worked. You know what? I know that it's 18. you know what? I'm going to scribble that out and do 18. There we go. That was so bizarre. But yeah, so again, now this one is one that I just pull from my YouTube paycheck, since it doesn't really matter one way or another. I use my PO box for my Etsy business. I use my PO box, like my PO box is listed in my description box. So it doesn't really matter. It's coming from money that is essentially sourced in a similar fashion. So that's how that works. And then next up, I have this isn't really a business expense, but I have a YouTube envelope. And this one, I don't assign a percentage to, I just assign a dollar amount as I'm kind of going through and budgeting, and based on what our other needs, what my other business needs are, what our home needs are, and things like that. And so, again, not a percentage, just a dollar amount. And this month, it's getting $15. And then, of course, we have my Etsy trifecta here. I have materials, equipment, and shipping supplies. Oh my gosh, I need my pens to just not crap out on me. I also should probably just get new pens. Shipping supplies. Oh my gosh. Now these, I do try to hit percentages every single month. So I try to do 20% for materials and then 5% each for equipment and shipping supplies. Now, this is also needs-based. If I feel like I need to buff up some of these funds, I will go ahead and do that. I did do that this month. I felt like I needed a little bit more money thrown toward equipment, and so that's what I did. But for the most part, I was able to stick to the percentages. So for materials, it's getting $198. For equipment, it's getting $72. And for shipping supplies, it's getting $48. So these would have had the same numbers if I wasn't specifically putting more money toward equipment, but that's just how I do it. And I might even do the same thing for equipment next month as well. So we'll just kind of see how it all plays out, but basically that's how I run that particular portion of this. And then that does it for business related expenses. And so then I move over into sinking funds. Oh, you know what? No, what I need to do is add up this first section. So we had $282, 10, 18, 15, 198, 72, and 48, and that is a total of $643 in this section over here. And then what I'm gonna do now is just kind of move over to the savings section. So if you watched my September budget with me, you'll see in that video where I discuss utilizing Etsy and YouTube income and supplementing our main budget with this in certain categories. So for savings, our I don't even remember, it was like $128 or something like that, like to supplement, to make sure that we're putting $2,000 a month into our high yield savings account towards our emergency fund, which is 6 months of expenses. And so what I was able to do this month, and this is, by the way, like anytime there's change. So like with YouTube, it was $135.70. With Etsy, it's $1,002.12. The change always goes into the emergency fund. That's typically how we run that, because you would be surprised how quickly change adds up. Especially if you're a cash spender, you know that better than anybody. Change really does add up over the course of time. It doesn't sound a lot. It's only 82 cents this month, but it helps us, first of all, have like clean numbers when we just throw the change into our emergency fund. But, you know, that little bit adds up and contributes over the course of time. So anyways, what we were able to put at our emergency fund this month was $130.82. Obviously, the change from up there. So that gives us a clean dollar amount to go into and plan out our sinking funds with as well. That way we don't have like a bunch of change going down all the way around. And so that's going to do it for this section. That's really the only thing we're like saving for right now, is to just make sure that we hit that goal of 6 months of expenses and a high yield savings account to use in the event of an emergency. No emergencies, please. Next up, so we have some sinking funds that we always try to have money put toward. And then we have ones that, and this, I mean, you will know this if you've been budgeting for any amount of time, you really want to make sure that you're taking a look at what that month is going to look like for you. Do you have a birthday party to go to? Do you have an event to go to? Do you have family coming into town? Do your kids have school pictures? Like, all of these things contribute into the fluidity of a budget and making sure that you are being flexible with your circumstances. So, for example, and if you hang out here for a little while, in my October budget with me, which is going to come next week, you'll get a chance to see how those different circumstances will impact our budget for the month of October, because we have like a variety of different things that are sort of happening in the month of October that we have to accommodate for. And so that's one of those things where being prepared actually really, really helps you in the long run and makes it so that you're not swiping a credit card. You've got money set aside for things that you're looking toward, and just generally so that there are no, or you're mitigating the surprises as best you can. That's just sort of how we view it. So let's just jump in first with like our typical ones. So we've got, actually, no, I'll just go over the ones with you that we decided to supplement this month. So first up, we have home maintenance. And because that one took a hit over the last couple of months, I really wanted to make sure that we were supplementing this one. So our goal for this one was to supplement it $50 this month, and that's exactly what we did. So we were able to supplement it $50. Next up was our medical, and this is just one that I like to put money toward because I think it's super, super important to have as much money in a medical category that you possibly can, because you just don't know what's going to happen. So medical was another one we supplemented this month. I decided to just supplement at $25, and that's exactly what we were able to do. Again, clothes. Poor clothes. I mean, if you've been around here for any lengthy amount of time, you know that this one really took a hit in August. And so we spent September like really throwing a little bit more money at it than we usually would. And then I wanted to supplement it as well. $25. I've talked about, and that's what we did. I have talked about with you guys, we have a plan moving forward. Probably by the time we reach our 6 months of expenses, but maybe before that, just because we're sort of looking at the reality of the circumstances, like the fact that our children keep growing. I know that doesn't sound like something that should surprise us. It doesn't surprise us. It's just the quickness with which they grow. My kids are not normal sized children. I've mentioned this 1,000 times, but my husband and I are both very tall. Well, I'm just tall. My husband is very tall. I'm 5'10". My husband is 6'5", and my son is basically my height at this point. He's 13, and my daughter is, she's the size of a normal sized teenager, and she is 9. So we definitely have rapidly growing children, and like they're both in adult size shoes. It's insane. And so I think what we're going to do is create a gold clothing budget, because right now, actually, we just kind of pick numbers to put toward our clothing fund, and we don't really like look at the totality of what we're spending in a year. I think what we're going to do moving forward is probably have a solid goal of $2,000 a year that we are funneling money toward, and we have a planned amount to put toward it, so that we can make sure that we are accommodating things like growing foot sizes and growing pant sizes and growing shirt sizes and things like that. I am a sale shopper, and I am also a believer in quality over quantity. But the rate at which these kids are growing is absolutely baffling to me. So not baffling, but it just kind of hits you. So I'm supplementing it whenever I can with whatever I can throw at it. And we're just going to play it by ear for the time being. But this was another one that I decided to supplement for the month of September. Next up, I decided that I wanted to supplement gifts this month. And that was also because this one had really taken a hit. And it's a good thing that I did, because one of my neighbors, I think I've mentioned to you guys, she was diagnosed with breast cancer sort of at the beginning of the year. She's been going through chemo. It's been so aggressive on her body and just very difficult. And she is coming to the end of the chemo road, bless it. So her cancer has always been treatable, which is a wonderful, wonderful gift. But she had an aggressive sort of cancer. And so they really wanted to hit her with like 2 different kinds of chemo back to back. It's just been a lot on her. So she's having a little party after she rings the bell to say, I guess this is like a ceremonial thing that they do when your cancer is gone. And so we'll be able to get her a nice gift. Excuse me. We'll be able to get her a nice gift with our gift fund, since we spent, especially the month of September, really adding some money to it. So that's a good thing. Next up is just like all the rest of it is goodness gracious, I need this throat tickle to go away. The new school year always brings new germs into my home, I swear. So these were the 4 categories. And then obviously the emergency fund that we specifically put dollar amount goals for, that we wanted to earmark money for, to make sure that we were, if nothing else, this is what we were putting towards those things. So if I had earned no other income but this, obviously I have to fund my business, but if we had earned no other income but these things, that would have been the only thing that got funded. Fortunately, this was not the only income that I earned. And so we were able to go in here and fund some additional categories. So what we have here, house project and home decor are 2 categories in our budget that only get funded with this income. So I do try from time to time to really make sure that I put some special attention on these 2. Not that home decor is very important, but I've been trying to save for some new couch pillows. And so I am funneling some money toward these 2 areas, especially for those reasons as well. Our house project is separate and apart from home decor. We are currently actually saving up for a new TV, which is not really a house project and is certainly not a high priority house project, but it was one that we kind of had, discussions in our home about putting over some other things, and we just decided to do it. So that's what we're doing. It may not be advisable, but this is just what we're doing for now. We do have other plans for our other house projects as well, which we are obviously going to update you guys on when we come to that bridge to cross it. But for the month of September, for house project, we were able to put $102 at it, because we don't have a percentage or a goal dollar amount in mind. And likewise with home decor, we were able to put $32 at this one. Again, if these numbers seem a little wonky to you, it's because I add money to it from week to week. Whatever the total is at the end of the month is a surprise for everybody. And that's why it may seem like a number where you're like, why didn't you just do $100 and $30? Or $105 and $35. I stick to my numbers. I'm just weird like that. And I don't really care about whole numbers either. So anyways, next up, for just like family things, we had dine out, which is a category that we don't put a lot of money to, but we do if we can. So we have dine out, we have dates, because my husband and I like to do that from time to time. And then family fun. Oops. Oh my goodness. Seriously with these pens. Seriously. Oh, sure. Write down there where it's not important, but don't write up here where I need you to actually write. Family fun. Okay, so with dine out dates and family fun, again, no gold amount, but we were able to do $10 for each of those this month. Family fun, in all honesty, is one that doesn't take a big hit in the fall and winter just because we're really more like spring, summer outdoor people and spring, summer family fun activity people. I love a good orchard every now and then, like pumpkin picking, apple orchards, that sort of stuff. But like an apple orchard, like if we're buying apples to consume, that would for me come from groceries. And then same with like a pumpkin patch. It's like that comes from Halloween. So anyways, not to get into the nitty gritty of my very weird budgeting strategies, but yeah, that's why we don't put a lot. And dine out honestly doesn't get that much money because we don't really eat out almost never. So anyways, next up we have his and hers, because we do supplement our spending money with my Etsy and YouTube pay as well. And we both got $30 this month, which was nice. And then because we realized, oh gosh, we really need to supplement this, we threw a couple extra dollars at household and toiletries, because these things are, they are categories that I can just never nail down. Like I swear I'm either really flush in those categories or in desperate need of money. So there's no happy medium. And so I'm like, I think we depleted it in August. And so I needed to buff it back up in September. We're still teetering right on the edge of what is tolerable in household and toiletries, but I figured $10 each would kind of give us a little boost forward. Plus we still have our final stuffing for both of these categories for the month of September. So hopefully between these things, we can really just kind of skate through into October with no deficits. That would be the dream. Anyways, I think that's going to do it that does it for this section. So I'm just going to go ahead and add all of this up really quickly. Okay. $364 in this section. So let me just add these two up really quickly. So 643, 364, and 130.82. Yep, that gets us to our final number, $1,137.82. And so that's how we do our budgeting. Again, this is the area where we, like our month-to-month main household budget doesn't really change all that much unless we have something huge that we have to accommodate. So like, for example, my birthday is in December. We are going back east to spend time with my family for my birthday. And even though we have a really decent Christmas budget and we do plan on using part of that to contribute to that trip back home, we still have to kind of make sure that we're earmarking money toward that. And so that effort will be something that we put mostly in November and December from those specific budgets. But that's the thing to remember with budgeting in general, is that if you have things coming up that you have to accommodate for, just try to plan it out. Pull away from things like, I know this sounds crazy, but pull away from things like setting money aside for your emergency fund so that you can, I know this is against like the guidance and wisdom of Dave Ramsey, but life sort of happens. I'm not going to not celebrate my 40th birthday because I'm saving up for an emergency fund. I also don't think that he would advocate for that either. Like, I think he does recognize the value of life celebrations, but I know that he's pretty like hard-nosed about a lot of that sort of stuff too. Like, you're not going to see the inside of a restaurant unless you're working in it. Well, we just don't live like that. We try to be a little bit more loosey-goosey with things. It's worked for us. And so that would be my advice and, guidance to you. If you're in dire straits, maybe you don't accommodate for the occasional celebration or the occasional dinner out. But if you have a big milestone coming up, just make sure that you're earmarking money for that. Maybe you don't pay extra on your debt that month, or maybe you don't set aside as much money toward your emergency fund. Wherever you are along the road of your budgeting, just try to accommodate for expenses that you can foresee coming up. Obviously, we can't foresee accidents and surprises and things like that, but insofar as you can control it, try to make sure that you are accommodating those life things that crop up. Obviously, we didn't plan on having family come into town in October. It is welcome. And so we're just going to kind of make that accommodation. And that's just sort of how we've handled it along the way. But like I said, stay tuned for my normal budget with me, like our regular everyday budget with me for October. You'll kind of see how we're going to map that out as well. But this is a really good picture of how we're able to supplement our everyday budget as well, using this side income and making sure that we can even have a little bit of fun with it as well, as you can see here. And I know it might not seem like a lot of money. Like you may think $10 toward dine out or $10 toward family fun doesn't really make you feel good. Like you're like, we'll never be able to save up to do things. It's not true. And a lot of family fun can be had in ways that you're not spending money on. And that's definitely something that we've come to appreciate over the course of time with our budgeting as well. Not everything needs to be a thing that costs you money. You can still have valuable time and do wonderful things without spending $1. So anyways, I'm going to zoom you guys out and we will finish out this video. All right, everyone. Well, that is going to do it for me for today's video. I hope that you guys enjoyed it. And if you did, I would love it so much if you would give me a thumbs up and leave me a comment down below. Please let me know if you have any questions. I know that sometimes this process can seem daunting, especially if you're completely new to budgeting or you're just new to this way of budgeting. Like a zero-based budget kind of blew my mind in the beginning. I was like, how in the world do you accommodate for this, that, or the other thing? And I really feel like it probably took us a good solid 6 months to get a handle on it. But then once we did, it's just sort of like one of those clockwork things. So just like with anything in life, when you are new to something, it's just going to take some time to get the kinks out, and it's worth it to stick through that difficulty in order to get to the other side where everything just feels like a well-oiled machine and you've really got a handle on what you're doing. So anyways, that's going to do it for me for today. And then I will be back with you guys on Friday with my weekly check-in. So you kind of get to see the nuts and bolts of how we handle the spending as well, because that's one of those important things, tracking all of your expenses. It's one thing to budget it, which is super important. It's something else entirely to make sure that you're actually sticking to the budget. Knowing where your money is going is so crucial when it comes to making sure that you make a zero-based budget work for you. So stay tuned for that if you're interested to see how we make that work. And until then, I hope you guys have a wonderful rest of your week, and I will see you on Friday. Bye, everyone.